and I take it from the really practical end of the continuum to the other end, which I'm just going to drop this in as a question. The strategic question for law firms at that sort of step change in their journey, I think there's a question, Mary Cruz, you mentioned this earlier about maximizing value, which everyone is kind of focused on. But there are questions that you need to ask to unpack that a bit. So I think firms need to give a lot more thought to what value they're delivering to their clients and asking the clients. And I think that there are some very good examples of firms that are doing that now really, really well. I think there's another question that hasn't really been answered yet, which is, what is the value that the firm as an entity is providing to everyone that constitutes that firm? At the moment, that is, how do we increase PEP? How do we do the work more efficiently, more effectively, in a way that is more profitable for us? But I think we're getting to the top end of that, where people I'm having conversations with now are saying, well, actually, how much is enough? And how can we then think about the value that we're providing? So if we can work more efficiently, should we give that time back to our associates rather than just constantly demanding that they do more and more? Once there's a certain level reached, could we say, actually, you can work, if you can do 5 days worth of work in 4 days because you're efficient personally, why don't we let them do that rather than just, and I think there's a great example in the press this morning about Ben Stokes saying that in cricket, they were seen as engines that you just fill with petrol and out you go and do more and more. And I think that is a mindset that needs to change across all levels of management, really. And I think we're beginning to see that.
One fundamental point is that law firms are people businesses. And I think when you're a senior partner, very busy, oftentimes it's quite easy and understandable that you lose sight of what is the mood music, if I can use that term, within your firm. Therefore, a lot of firms run engagement surveys, whether that's of the partners, whether it's for the lawyers only, whether it's for the entire workforce, to have a real understanding of what people are thinking. And I think one of the very specific illustrations that can flush out is certainly nowadays when people are maybe being paid really quite a lot of money, but having to work very low hours. For some people that's fine and they're very happy to do it, but for others they're happy to do it for a period and then they up and go. And you've then got the problem of you've invested in X stays with you for 2 or 3 years, and then she ups and goes, and you have to start the process all over again with Y. And I think having an engagement survey, and we've worked on those, having an engagement survey which gives you a real understanding of the firm's, as an entity, feelings, can be very, very valuable in terms of identifying what's going well, what is going okay, and what's going badly. And with that, you've got real evidence to be able to make change in a way that's likely to land well with the different groups in the organization.
So hearing this discussion has really made me think, are we all leaders now? 30 years ago, Professor Stephen Mason, who you'll all know, said that lawyers are guilty of confusing management and leadership. They focus on the first and they ignore the last. So going forward, I think it's clear that lawyers are leadership and we need more leadership. And I've also heard today about a more human profession and the extent to which firms are able to develop this wider purpose away from the financial results to their partners only. So we're clearly at a pivotal moment. And I would suspect that the difference in those firms that do this well, it really is a case of winner takes all. If they can have their client value proposition, their proposition to their people, to their stakeholders clearly, some firms going forward will do this exceptionally well and accelerate. And I just worry about the firms that don't get this, that haven't been able to modernize, that haven't been able to engage in the way that we've heard they should. I think the market will just polarize going forward, and the difference in the successful law firm and the less successful will just become much, much wider.